don't necessarily want to be on reality TV. Like, you know, like I said, I never thought about being on a reality TV show. I always thought about just being in movies and you know, I really want to be in a movie where I can just be myself as Tanya, or not even as Tanya.
This is for real, y'all. So let's do this. We know what we gotta do. Sometimes we gotta suck it up. You ain't gotta be her best friend.
It's hard, just knowing that, especially when we're all together, because sometimes when you film one-on-one with others, that happens.
I never dreamed of being on reality TV. That was never the goal. I just wanted to act, be in movies. But here I am, and this is real. So let's do what we have to do. You don't have to be best friends with everyone, but sometimes you gotta suck it up and push through. But filming with a group? That's where it gets messy. We all know Little Women. Atlanta brought the drama on screen. But what if I told you the real chaos happened behind the scenes? From pressure to fake fights to mental breakdowns. An exploitation that'll leave your jaw on the floor. The cast is finally speaking out. And it's not pretty. Let's just say, what you saw on TV was only half the story. Right out the gate, those over-the-top fights and emotional blow-ups, turns out a lot of that was pushed by producers. Some cast members say they were strong-armed into stirring up drama just to get airtime. And if they refused, they risked getting cut. Sounds like classic love and hip-hop or bad girls club tactics, right? But for these women, coming DEI special. This new installment is rumored to follow up on the controversial Panderverse episode. Zegler's name is back in the spotlight, not just because of her role in the 2025 Snow White remake, but because she's reportedly furious about how she's being portrayed.
Exactly what they're doing, and that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
Her involvement in Disney's Snow White reboot has already stirred constant backlash. Longtime fans of the 1937 classic were uneasy from the start, especially after Rachel publicly criticized the original story, calling it outdated. Her comments, paired with whispers of on-set tension, particularly with co-star Gal Gadot, painted a picture of a troubled production. Then came South Park. In typical fashion, the show went for the jugular. It aired a parody segment mocking the Snow White drama, with a cartoon version of Rachel Zegler ranting about saving the world through progressive casting and rewriting every character for the sake of diversity. The satire was brutal, and it hit a nerve. The internet lit up, memes exploded, fans and critics alike dissected every second of the clip, and word got out fast. Rachel Zegler was not amused. Sources claimed she felt blindsided and humiliated, believing the parody amplified the mockery she was already facing over the film. Meanwhile, Disney was dealing with other fires.
Snow White is the first American feature-length animated movie, 1937. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time.
Disappointing Marvel releases, the Daredevil, Born Again disaster, and the growing sense that their remake formula was losing its magic. The South Park jab only poured salt on the wound. Insiders say company leaders were alarmed. There were already concerns about Snow White's reception. Now it was becoming a punchline. In South Park's version, Zegler's character storms through scenes bashing the original film, proclaiming the new Snow White would fix society, all while alienating her co-stars and exasperating Disney's fictional execs. The moment the episode aired, fans began comparing it to Rachel's actual interviews. The exaggeration hit a little too close to home. Even people who hadn't paid much attention to the Snow White controversy suddenly found themselves watching the drama unfold. Hashtags like "Art Snow White fiasco" and "Art Rachel Zegler" trended. Rumors swirled about her clashing with Disney PR and potentially issuing a statement.
Even if everything worked perfectly, it would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed, because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie.
Though reportedly, Disney pressured her to stay quiet to avoid inflaming the situation. Behind the scenes, tensions were escalating. Disney had already scaled back Rachel's media appearances. Her talk show spots were mysteriously canceled. A rumored SNL performance disappeared from the schedule. Officially, the studio blamed scheduling conflicts, but insiders said they were trying to muzzle her. The trouble wasn't just about public perception. Reports hinted at actual legal friction.
Our rights are on the line, folks.
Bitch! The right to buy Cosby sweaters?
Come on.
That's the face of a serial killer.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, hit the unfollow button.
Rachel's team felt she was being thrown under the bus. They allegedly floated the idea of legal action, citing missed promotional obligations in her contract. Whether it was a real threat or a bargaining chip isn't clear, but the rift between Zegler and Disney was widening. Meanwhile, her rumored feud with Gal Gadot spilled into the public. At one awards show, the two didn't speak, fueling gossip about creative disagreements and scene-stealing tensions.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely when it got announced.
Snow White!
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
Thing that was like trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
Some claimed full sequences had to be reshot because of these clashes. It didn't help that South Park mocked this too, depicting Zegler's character erupting in a tantrum over being overshadowed by the evil queen. All of this was unfolding while Disney tried to stay quiet. Executives feared responding publicly would just give South Park more ammunition. Historically, fighting back against the show only boosts its reach, but staying silent made Disney look weak, and Rachel isolated.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Even some supporters began questioning if she had taken things too far. Critics argued that portraying the 1937 original as problematic or irrelevant came off as dismissive. Others said Rachel was being unfairly targeted, becoming a scapegoat for a studio scrambling to manage its own mess. Industry observers noted that Disney's top brass were meeting constantly.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
To figure out how to contain the fallout. Bob Iger, brought back to stabilize the company, now had Snow White 2025 looming like a potential disaster. And as the satire made rounds, what little faith the public had in the reboot seemed to erode further. One recurring question kept popping up.
It was supposed to come out like a year and a half ago, and then we went after them so hard because of their variety of ridiculous sins that they actually went into full-scale reshoots on Snow White when we announced that we had a competitor.
Can the movie recover? Some still hoped. Maybe stunning visuals or a standout performance by Gal Gadot could save it. Maybe, despite the noise, audiences would be wowed once it actually dropped. But each new rumor, another canceled promo, another cryptic tweet, another round of reshoots made that hope feel thinner. South Park didn't just target Rachel. The show mocked Disney's entire PR machine.
It was the first animated film that had the kind of Disney magic that had depth, that had absolute, it was riveting. And it's based, of course, on a Brothers Grimm story.
Its version of executives in panic mode, scrambling to silence talent, manipulate media, and fix a marketing disaster, hit too close to real rumors. It painted a picture of a company out of ideas and unable to manage modern expectations. As for Rachel, whispers suggested she was already seeking new roles to move on from the Snow White saga. But whether Hollywood was still eager to work with her remained to be seen. The controversy had turned her into a lightning rod, and the image of her character melting down on national TV wasn't going away anytime soon. The deeper issue? This wasn't just about one actress or one film. Commentators began framing it as a cautionary tale about Hollywood's reboot culture. Studios trying to modernize beloved stories often walk a razor-thin line. Go too modern, and you alienate the fans. Stay too traditional, and you're accused of clinging to the past. Rachel Zegler, trying to bring a bold new take to an old story, had instead become the face of a corporate meltdown.